I'm Mark Allen, Mr. Saltwater Tank, coming to you on behalf of saltwateraquarium.com, and this is Mr. Saltwater Tank RUF/reacts. What does that mean? Well, as we round out 2021, we wanted to pause for a minute and remember the reason we're all in this crazy hobby called saltwater aquarium keeping. It's to have a beautiful saltwater tank that we love to show off. So I thought I'd take a step back from the product reaction shows and go back to the Mr. Saltwater Tank Reacts and give you a rundown of a 350-gallon aquarium done by my friend Mr. Brian Levinson from Tank It Easy. Now, Brian runs a local aquarium shop in Chicago, and I thought it'd be fun to have a professional show off his tank and give us a rundown. Now, Brian, like me, likes to be on camera, so he's going to walk us through his 350-gallon tank, and then I'm going to come behind it and give the Mr. Saltwater Tank Reacts to it. So thanks everyone for shopping with us in 2021. Best wishes for 2022. And with that, I'm going to get out of the way and let Brian have the camera.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Levinson here with Tank It Easy, and Mr. Saltwater Tank, Mark Callahan, has asked me to do a quick profile of my tank. So what I have here behind me is a 350-gallon system. There is a Bash C sump, which is 24 inches by 5 feet, and the tank up here is made by Titan Aquatics. So this is 67 inches, and then it takes a turn, 48 inches, takes a turn, and then 20 inches over here. So above this tank, we have two different types of lights, and these doors open up quite nicely. We have three types of lights, I should say. We have Radions, we have Skylights by Neptune, and we have an Orphic bar as well. So Ecotech, Radions, Neptune Skylights, and Orphic bar for a little bit of that pop in color. This tank stand and canopy and stand was made in-house by a little group of ours that we lovingly call Fish Guy Carpentry. So master builder Tyler helped me build this. And yeah, so underneath here we have a Bash C sump, which you can see here, Reef Octopus skimmer, and behind door number 2, we have Neptune systems and a Trident and an ATO that is filled from the basement, an RO with a float valve. So for the fish guy on the go, I can rest assured that my system is being monitored by the Trident, and still need to do elbow grease. People, please still do your water changes, siphon that gravel. And yeah, I like to test things with my Hanna checkers and the salinity tester as well. That's pretty fun. I use that in the field as well. And most of my siphoning is done with Python stuff. So 2 little fishes, little plug there for Julian. I love this one. It does really well on even 1/2-inch acrylic. Not a big fan of the suction cups for the veggie clips for the fish. But this one I recommend highly, as well as the 2 little fishes Phospan reactors. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to get to Rome. This is how I do it. This is my tank. If you want to look into more of how the Tank It Easy way is done and more systems and ways that we test and how we clean, check us out at Tank It Easy TV, or you'll see a fish like this at our Instagram and our Facebook, which is at Tank It Easy. The best is definitely yet to come. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll see you guys in 2022. Thanks for inviting me to do this, Mark. Really cool. Peace out. Bye.
The first thing that struck me about this tank is I love how it's like a Quasi-Peninsula, but gives you a wraparound feature in his kitchen. You're sitting there making food, spending time eating breakfast or lunch, whatever on the table, and you've got this tank right there. One of the things I'm big on with placing a saltwater tank is putting it somewhere where you're going to see it and see it a lot. Putting them in a man cave, like, I get it, but if you're having to steal away from the family, leave everyone to go up and enjoy your tank, it's not quite as enjoyable. So Brian has his tank right here in the middle of his kitchen where he can't miss it, and he can be pretty much anywhere in the first story of his house and get to enjoy the tank. So I like the shape, I like the placement as well. All right, so let's pause it here, get a quick look at the lighting. So we've got 2 skies, a Radion at an angle on the end, and then the Orphic bar is kind of tucked away. You can't see it in the shot. So the first thing that I see here is cords. Okay, it's inevitable around the saltwater tank. You're gonna have some cords around the tank, it can't be avoided. So could we do a little bit more with water management? Sure. And look, I'm guilty of this one as well. You're a professional, you go to work working on tanks, you come home, you don't always want to wrangle cords on your tank. Your tank gets to play second fiddle to your client's tank. So I'm going to give them some leeway on this one. I don't see anything that's overly, throwing a red flag to me. So we've got one radion ballast that may be a little close to the water line, but overall, look, it's okay. We've got cords that are supported, lights are well supported. We've got the EcoSmarts over on their own mount close to the front of the tank, so I like that as well. Okay, here's another shot. I'm not sure what this, looks like an air hose connection almost over this side of the tank. Maybe Brian can chime in the comments and tell me what's up with that. It looks like an air hose connection, which would be pretty interesting on why that's there. I got to get the story on that. Here's the radion, here's the skies on this end. I'm noticing that there's no, from what I can tell, there's no air ventilation out of the canopy. I would like to see, if it's not there, maybe I can't see it in the shot, some kind of air vent. Either it's a passive vent to somewhere else in the house, like up into the attic or outside, or even just blowing air out into the kitchen so we can get some of that warm, moist air out of that canopy so we don't have a mold issue, and so those lights can have a chance to cool themselves. Even with LEDs, you start cranking up the intensity, it's going to get warm underneath there, it can warm the tank, and then you got warm air that's also moist, it can cause issues. So if there's not any venting, I would like to see some venting up top. And I still got to find out about this air hose connection. Okay, here we go. Into the deep. So we've got some torches here. You got this nice chalice right here on the corner, which is going to overtake this rock and then plate over in time. You've got some zoas right next to it that aren't going to get nuked by the chalice. You got a Space Invader right there in the corner too. Okay, so perhaps I would have put in some SPS on the corner, but those chalices are a nice touch. You're going to get lots of color. They usually always do well, and eventually they're going to plate off on that corner and make a neat presentation for that coral. And there's nothing around them that they're going to nuke. When they get bigger, they throw off sweepers. There's nothing around there that's going to bother them, or nothing that they're going to bother because they get big. So Brian's going to give us a static shot here. I'm going to stop it and call it as I see it. Love the school of chromis. I'd like to know how long he's had that many chromises. My experience with them is over the course of a couple months, when you have that many, they pick themselves off. Maybe Brian's got a tip on how he's able to keep all those. Love the nice chromis, lots of swimming action, lots of color right there. We've got the yellow tang, we've got a pair of clowns, we've got the Desjardins out there up front, which is a nice touch as well. Like the Bangai as well, hanging out right there on the bottom. And he's got a couple wrasses in here. I would personally like to see a couple more big fish, like a blonde naso. See, if I didn't see any nasos there, I'd like to have the naso in there. I didn't see any yellows. That's a GSP there in the corner that I thought was a yellow tang. So, personally, I'd like to have another tang or two. We certainly got the water volume. We've got the dimensions to it. I'd like to see that. A couple wrasses in there. And then Brian doesn't have a mesh top on his tank, but I'm okay with it in this case because the canopy all closes up. If a fish jumps out, he may end up on that little bit of Eurobracing on the tank. It's a small, narrow Eurobrace. Chances are that fish is going to fall back in. If it was my tank, I personally would make the effort to put a mesh top on it because of how everything is enclosed. So a little different mix of fish. Now let's look at the aquascaping for just a minute and the corals as well. Now this is a deeper tank, and if you're trying to hide the back wall, you're trying to hide an overflow on a tank that's this deep, you don't have much of an option except to go up. Now this tank doesn't have a lot of depth front to back because it's built on this corner. So he's got to go up if he wanted to hide the back of the tank. But he's got plenty of caves. The aquascape still has lots of personality. We've got a nice hole right there in the center for fish to swim through, which is a nice touch as well. So he's got the GSP. Personally, not my touch. He's got it down at the bottom. Maybe he's even got it on an island. So if it starts to take off and run across a sand bed, he can yank that thing out of there. We've got some soft corals, some Nephthia over there. We've got the sea anemone. We've got the LPS up on top. Not a lot of SPS, which is all right. Maybe that's not Brian's thing. Personally, I'm a stickhead. I would like to see more. Maybe he's going to put that in time. But we've got a nice mix of corals. I like the placements of the chalice. I love where the anemone is. Hopefully it stays there. It's right there in the center. And we've got a nice turbine area down in the bottom as well. So this tank's got lots of potential. I'm curious to see how this thing grows in under Brian's watch. Maybe puts in some more fish, maybe puts in some more corals. And I still got to know what the heck is up with that air hose connection over the top of the tank. All right, Brian, give me the rundown on that. Leave a comment. I got to hear what's with the air hose connection over the tank.